Hey there, I'm Angela. Welcome or welcome back, and I have another weekly garden update. Stick around. It's Saturday, April 10th, and one of the first things we did this morning was to finish installing these T-posts. I think that's what they're called. We're going to do a row of shrubs here, but because we have heavy deer pressure and bunnies, we are going to put some netting around. So the stakes are going to be used to support the netting, and then the shrubs will be planted in between in a row all through there. They're really small, so that's why they need the extra protection. And we started this, we put in the first couple of posts very late in the fall last year, and we're just now kind of picking back up with it. So I hope to get all those shrubs planted this spring. Hey there, it's Monday, April 12th, and I have a garden update today. Stick around. So I found these on Amazon, and while they're not meant to be for the garden, I thought they might work perfectly because I'm not sure when my mosquito netting that I'm gonna install over my post there is ever gonna get here. These are pretty cheap. They're meant to be something for a cookout or a picnic that you place over your food dishes to keep the bugs off the food, and they pop out all the way, so I'll show you what one looks like when it's expanded. When you pop it all the way open, it makes like a little umbrella type thing, or a little tent that's pretty. This one looks like it's kind of warped. It's not perfectly square. Like I said, they weren't that expensive. They're maybe not the best made things, but I think they might work for now for my cabbage plants. So I'm gonna give that a try. And I have noticed that something is eating some of my cabbage leaves. Like for instance, that. And I don't see anything on the plant. I'm not sure what it is. I don't see any cabbage worms. I'm sure it could be, something else. And I realized that there's probably many other insect type things that could be eating my cabbage plants, not just the cabbage worms. So I don't know if it could be a slug. I'm not sure. It seems to be happening at night, whatever it is. So it could be a slug because they seem to be more prevalent at nighttime. I went ahead and did the same thing with my 2 cabbage plants in the front bed over here. I was a little concerned about them sitting underneath of these containers like 24/7. I'd come out a few times a day and like air them out a little bit, but I felt like maybe it was getting too moist, trapping too much moisture under those containers, and maybe too much heat, even though our weather's gotten a little bit cooler these last couple of days. Since I'm growing strawberries this year, I bought a couple of plants at the home center, and trying to figure out a place to hang them that we can easily access them, but the wildlife can't, which is hard around here. So we did a little rearranging of our porch. The grill used to be right along that rail there, so we moved it closer to the house and relocated the chair, which used to be where the grill is. So what that did was open up access to this railing here, and we hung this planter. It's like a fabric planter. It has 4 pretty decent sized pockets in there, and it should be easy to plant in because I don't have to strain or reach over too far to access it here, and it should be easy to like pick any strawberries that grow. Here's what it looks like from the other side. So yeah, that'll be nice having those there. I can also tuck some hanging flowers in there too, make it really pretty. Should look good. Right now, my poor strawberry plants are still in their little small pots. So I'll be getting those into the planter really soon. They'll be able to start spreading their roots out a little bit. I'm getting some strawberries. I picked one off, the first one that was turning red. I couldn't wait, and it was so good. Could have stayed on a little bit longer, would have been sweeter, but it was pretty good. So of course, as soon as I got those little tents on my plants, guess what? That's what arrived. My mosquito netting, which is fine. I think this will do a better job. And I can definitely use those little tent protective devices on other plants around the property. So it's not a waste. So this is by Ag Fabric, and it's specifically an insect barrier netting. And that's all I have for today. Stay tuned, I'm sure there'll be something tomorrow. Hey there, it's Tuesday, April 13th, and I've got a couple of things to do out here today, so stick around. I'm taking a quick break to get out here and do a little watering and checking. Everything's looking good until I got to this bed here that I don't have much planted in yet. And I noticed this big pile of soil. I don't remember putting that there at all. I'm like, what the heck? And then I noticed that. It looks like something's burrowing into or out of it. So I'm gonna put a brick there and try to block that up. I don't know how much good that'll do, but I'll start with that. The main thing that I want to get done today is to get these hops plants that have been in this pot for years and years into this raised bed that has our very tall trellis. So thankfully these hops can take a lot of abuse and neglect. They've been growing in this pot for coming on 9 years. Our real estate agent that helped us buy this house gave several of these plants to us as a housewarming gift. He grows them for some of the, I guess, the local breweries. I mean, he grows them in mass quantity. And when he found out that my hubby is a home brewer, he gave us a few plants. And we still have a couple in here that are hanging on, and surprisingly, while they haven't thrived, they haven't died out either. To thrive, they really need something to grow up on, which is where this trellis is going to come in handy. We did have them kind of growing up a string attached to the side of the house, but that didn't last too long, and they've just, poor little things, just been in this pot ever since, kind of hanging on but not thriving. So today we're going to change that, and they're going to have a whole new world. I usually grow cucumbers in this bed because the cucumbers also like the trellis, and then last year I grew cucumbers and an indeterminate cherry tomato on this. I think I'll have room to stick the hops plants down at that far end and still be able to put in a few cucumber plants here because they'll grow up and not need too much ground space. And I probably will not do tomatoes in here. And then on the front side, I'm going to do a few bush bean plants in there just along the front row, which will not need to grow up much at all. So the cucumbers and the hops can theoretically grow up one side of this trellis and then down the other side. The cucumbers actually did that last year, so it was pretty cool. They took up all the space they were allotted, that's for sure. So I'm kind of wondering, I haven't really kind of dove into this too deeply yet, wondering how many plants I have to work with. And it's kind of hard to tell if some of these are one plant or they're multiple plants. I kind of get the feeling this might all be one plant right down in there. And over here, it's probably another that maybe has multiplied a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how hops plants multiply, but it seems like I'm dealing with just 2 plants. So that'll help me to know how much to dig in this bed. This whole bed, like all of my beds, is full of shredded leaves. It makes a good mulch. Also, as it decays, it provides nutrients to the soil. So I have to kind of clear a good amount of that out to dig a hole. And I guess what I should be doing first is digging the plants up, at least loosening them to see what kind of a root situation they have going on. So I will be right back. So this is what I dug up for one of them. And it's got some pretty deep roots. Is that focusing? I can't tell. I hope that's focusing in. So that's pretty deep roots. That lets me know what I'm working with. So I think that'll be good. And anytime I'm planting something, I always water the hole. That is one of those pieces of garden knowledge that as a young gardener I was not aware of. And at our first house, our neighbor was this elderly woman from Macedonia, very sweet, and she was such a master gardener, just such a great gardener. And she saw me out in the yard one day planting some hosta plants, and I just dug the hole and stuck them in the ground. I didn't know any better, and she came over and very, very kindly showed me to water the hole before putting the plant in the ground. And she had very limited English, so she had to try to explain to me with her very limited English and using like gestures, and she was so sweet. I've never ever forgot that lesson. It's something that I live by now as a gardener, for sure. And this particular hole was holding a lot of water as I filled it up, so it wasn't draining too well. And I don't know if that's just because we've had so much rain and everything's saturated, or if the soil is just not draining very well. So I might keep my eyes on that. Although I think the soil's fine because I grew very successfully in this bed last year. So it could just be that it's saturated and not necessarily a, you know, permanent or over long-standing drainage issue. So it's gonna take a little time for that to settle in, I think. It's a little wobbly because of all the water. So we'll give that a chance to get acclimated. Go pretty close to this other plant. It seems like they can do well next to each other without too much spacing in between. I'll dig up this other one here. So it looks like these might multiply just by, I guess, rhizome, is that what you call that, or like root spreading? I really need to learn more about this. So I'm wondering if I left any roots behind in the pot, there might pop up some more plants. Oh, there's a little worm. Sorry, worm, didn't mean to flood you. So I'm not sure if I should try to divide this out, or I think I'm just gonna plant it as is, just because we don't have a lot of space to be growing all kinds of hops plants. I'm giving up valuable space in my veggie garden for these plants just because I think it's worth it, just because they were a gift and they are pretty useful. My husband doesn't brew beer regularly, but you know, occasionally he'll brew a batch, and it's kind of neat when you can use hops that you grew yourself. Although from what he tells me and what I've seen from his brewing process, it takes a lot of hops just to brew like one small batch of beer, enough for a small keg or 5 gallons or however much he's making. It takes a lot of hops. like more than we could grow. If he was brewing regularly, I wouldn't be able to give enough garden space for him to have enough homegrown hops for his beer, because it takes that many. Once they dry all down, they really, really shrink down in size and weight. All right, so these are in, and I will check on them in the coming days. Make sure they're getting settled in nicely. See if I need to add any more dirt. I feel like once they've kind of settled in and they're over their transplant shock, I can start training them to grow up on this trellis. They ought to just latch right on. I'm excited to see how this turns out. And one of the nice things about home brewing is that when he's finished with whatever batch he's brewing, I get the byproducts of the process, like the spent grains that I can put back into my compost. So it's kind of a nice little cycle there. And another thing to get done today is to put some soil into this bucket. I'm gonna take that up to the front porch where I have my strawberry bag. I'm gonna grow the strawberry plants in there. So I need to get some soil up there, and I don't want to haul this whole bag. I'm not sure if the bucket I brought up, like the amount of it, will be enough for all 4 of these pockets. But if not, I'll just go get more. Right now I only have 2 strawberry plants anyway, so I can only plant 2. So should be good. I'll have to head back up to the garden center and pick up a couple of more strawberry plants and get this whole little row full. I eat a lot of strawberries. I put them in smoothies. I add them to oatmeal. And then hubby likes to just eat them plain as a snack. So we definitely are going to appreciate having fresh homegrown strawberries anytime we want. I don't even know if 4 plants would be enough. We'll have to see. I've never grown them, so I'm not sure what to expect as far as the yield. I'm gonna scoot you down a little bit so I can reach these other bags. Oh yeah, coming along nicely. And of course the strawberry plants themselves will have a decent amount of soil around them, so I should be fine with this 1 bucket full. And my other concern about, I guess not my other concern, it's kind of my only concern about putting them in this location here, is that it's not the sunniest spot around our house, but it does get a lot of afternoon sun. So we'll see if the strawberries aren't thriving, not getting enough sun, I'll just relocate my planter here. This was an easy to get to spot on our porch, so that's why it ended up here. I'm gonna go grab the plants and I'll be back. So I grabbed the plants and a watering can. And the plants that I got, okay, can you see that? Yeah, I've already got some ripening berries. It's a bonnie plant, Ozark Beauty. I can't tell if that's showing up or not. There we go. I don't know if it's focusing. Sorry about that. I apologize if you can't really read that, but it's a bonnie plant. Well known, everyone knows bonnie plants, and it's called Ozark Beauty. Let's see what we're looking at with the roots and the whole ball of wax. Yeah, I think the amount of soil I have in there should be just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these two planted. And of course, water the hole. That's one of my gardening slogans that I live by. Always water the hole. I had thought about getting some blueberries planted this year too, but I wasn't sure where I would put them, and I just couldn't get my act together in time, so I may look to do that next year. And I feel like with those, there may be a bit of a learning curve, so I don't want to just jump into it. I want to find out as much as I can first and see what I'm working with there and what they need, so I can, you know, give them everything they need to thrive. Yeah, this is working out really well. I think that's good. If it settles down and needs more soil, I can always add some to the top. And the second plant is just the exact same thing. Just keep the tags in there. In case the new plants I get are a different variety, I'll know which is which. In my day job, I do a lot of quality assurance work and document control. So labeling and traceability just comes, it's like my second nature. Whoops, gotta water the hole. I think these might end up needing to be watered more frequently too, just because smaller containers, and with this fabric, it may cause the soil to dry out a little more quickly. So just something to keep an eye on. No big deal though. So I will end up needing to bring more soil when I get the more berries. So I'm raiding these other pockets for their soil. Ooh, I'm excited about this. I need to learn how to care for them though. Do they need pruning to produce more fruit or what? Google is my friend. It's all of our friends. What did we do before the internet? I don't know. I wouldn't want to go back though. It's so nice having all that information right there for us. So nice. All right. Tag in, give them a little bit of water, help them settle in. There, I guess that's all for now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find out if I should be pruning these, or if just picking them off as they ripen is enough to trigger them to produce more fruit. Sure, I can find out pretty easily. If you guys have grown strawberries before, I will take any and all information you can provide. All right, for now though, that's it. So I think that's it for today. I'm probably gonna call it a day as far as garden activities. I've been kind of tired the last couple of days, so I'm just keeping it a little bit light as far as what I'm doing out here. Just trying to maintain. Some days are like that and it's okay. So I will be back tomorrow. See you then. Hey there, it's Wednesday, April 14th. Yeah, I'm getting my dates mixed up this week. I don't know why. And last week too. I think time's moving so fast I can't keep up. Anyway, it's Wednesday and I have a little garden update for you. So it's not too much of an update. I'm mostly in the waiting game, the shuffling the seedlings inside and outside, still waiting for us to reach our last frost, which I'm starting to wonder if maybe we already have. It's looking good, but I don't want to jump the gun because I don't want to be rushing to try to protect everything that I've put out too early. So I will wait and keep doing the shuffling game. So I'm just kind of checking on things today. Not really doing too much today. Things are looking good over here. And I still have, gosh, a number of cabbage seedlings that I haven't gotten in the ground, obviously. And I just don't know where I'm going to put them because I already have plans for all the space that I have available. Like everything's already allocated. I have a master plan of where things are going to go. But the update that I have today is that I bought actually some seedlings, which I don't usually do. But I went to the store to get a couple of other strawberry plants to fill in my other 2 pockets up there. And I found, sorry for the wobbliness, I did find a couple of strawberry plants, and they're actually 2 different varieties, and they're different from the ones I already have, so that's good. Be a little mix up. This one's called Quinault, not sure how to say that. It sounds kind of fancy. And the other one is, I'm really sorry for the shakiness. Maybe I'll try to cut that out. The other one is All-Star. So those sound good. I'm gonna get those planted today. And then while I was there, I went ahead and looked around at some of their other seedlings, and I picked up a couple of other peppers. I got a Serrano hot pepper, and this one is a sweet banana. Yeah, sweet banana. Just because I didn't have seeds for those 2 types. So I don't have any of those, might as well pick some up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these 2 new strawberry plants in, and that's probably it for today. I'm still kind of feeling a little sluggish, so I will talk to you tomorrow. The weather is turning out to be so nice this evening, and I looked at the forecast, and tomorrow is going to be pretty chilly, so I decided to go ahead and get some of those extra cabbage seedlings in. I found a good place for them, since I'm no longer going to be planting potatoes this year. I couldn't get any seed potatoes in time, so I'm just going to skip that, and I'll work on that next year. So that leaves room for cabbages. I ended up getting 5 cabbages in this bed here that was going to be the potato bed. I left the front row open because I want to put peppers down there. So that should work out pretty well. And in order to have the little umbrella thingies on these cabbages, I had to steal them where they were on my existing cabbages. So figured no better time than the present to get this mosquito netting on. It looks like this probably will do pretty good as far as keeping any of the cabbage moth off of these. I do have some concerns how it's going to do like during a really, really hard rain or a thunderstorm. So we'll see about that when the time comes. And in the meantime, I'm going to give it a spray down with the hose just to see how it handles that. So here we go. Okay, yeah, the water sprinkles are going through. Okay, good. It seems like it's a pretty fine mesh, and I didn't know if it would let any kind of water, sprinkles, rain, get through. Let me back up a little bit. So it's not caving in, but this is not very much pressure. I have my hose set on garden setting. So we'll just have to play this one by ear and see how it does. I am noticing that there's a pooling up of water right there. So, it might just be one of those things that after a really hard rain or storm, I'll have to come out and readjust it. This was my last resort as far as growing cabbages and keeping them protected from cabbage moths. And this, of course, will keep them protected from deer as well. So fingers crossed on that. So I'm really signing off for tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Good morning. It's Friday, April 16th. And we did have a frost last night / this morning. Just checking on a couple of things that I wasn't sure would be affected or not. So the plants feel okay. They feel okay. These are the cars that I noticed the frost on, of course. It looks like things are okay. So I am going to get back in and start my day, and I might be back out later. So it's later in the day, it's still Friday, and haven't really done too much else in the garden today. It did turn out to be a really beautiful day. It got up into 61, I think that's what it is now. It feels so good, and it's sunny, and I'm still really struggling with feeling so tired. I might just take the evening off from the garden and relax. Sometimes you just gotta listen to your body and do that, you know. It'll be good for me, and then I'll be fresh to get it done tomorrow. I'm out here enjoying this nice weather on a walk with my baby dog. There she is. That's my 13-year-old baby girl. Just enjoying the evening, and we're gonna just take it easy tonight. And that's probably gonna wrap it up this week in the garden. And if I don't talk to you sooner, I'll be back next week with another update.